Hi everyone, guys. Thank you for joining. So that little piece that I just played, I composed this a few days ago, and this one is called "You Decide." Just a moment. Yeah, the sound is better today because I have not yet, uh, you know, introduced the guest in the live session. So it usually sounds good that way. So as soon as I bring in the guest, we might have a little issues, you know, but it's okay. 70 to 80% or more than that will be heard. So tonight it's all about acoustics and melodic stuffs. Right, welcome back everyone to Rock and Talk episode 6. And I'm super glad to introduce tonight's guest, Mr. Ravi CA. I personally call him Ravi sir, and I know him since 2010. He's the founder and educator at AllTED, which is into people development, coaching, mentoring, managing partner at Me Dad Media Studio, and founder, composer, producer at Instrumental Conversations. Guys, check out the Instrumental Conversations on YouTube. It's a beautiful channel. Founder of the music store company Music Gear, and a guitar teacher, advisor, and co-founder of Raga School of Music. I truly admire his personality for contributing so much to the society and the music scene. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Sir Ravi CA. So, let's go. Hi, sir.
Hi, Nikki. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome.
Great. Uh, can you hear yourself twice? Is there any echo?
No, the audio seems excellent. It's a very,
Okay.
very low volume echo, but I think it's manageable.
All right.
Hardly any
Great.
echo. Yeah, yeah,
Great.
yeah.
To our viewers, if you guys can hear any echo, please let us know. Let's wait for a little while, sir, and then.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm glad there's no rain tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a way, it's good. So, how's the evening been for you?
It's been great. I was right. It says perfect. All is good. Okay. Yeah, my evening
Okay.
has been great so far. I was just digging into your music. Was listening into your music.
Uh-huh.
I visited a couple of websites and checked out a couple of things. It was
Thanks.
great.
Thanks so much. Yeah. So, I hope you had your dinner though.
Yes, I just had my dinner, and I just thought maybe I should be a little energetic tonight before we start this. So, what about
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, we finished dinner a while back. And
Okay, great.
yeah.
Okay, perfect.
So,
So, can you take us back and tell us your story about how did this all begin for you?
so uh, my story is filled with multiple stories actually. So I think you're referring to the story related to, say, music. I would say it
Yes.
began when I was extremely young. At that time, we used to live in Ranchi, those days in Bihar.
Okay. Right.
And our, the house in which we stayed, my dad had rented this place and we were staying. The owners lived in the first floor, and there was a staircase which had a common entrance either from within our house or from the outside, and the
Okay.
owners went up, and this owner's son, he was a pilot, and
Oh.
whenever he was in town, he had a band, and they would get together in that house, and
Right.
there would be a lot of live music playing. And as a
Okay.
little kid, I must have been what, in first grade maybe, I would climb up the stairs and put my ears to the door just to listen to that music. And then,
Oh,
I never had the guts to go knock and say that, can I come and watch? And
okay.
it was awesome. So these guys were more into Indian music, but they were very talented. They were very good. They had a real drum kit, the full band they had. So that was the
Mhm.
early beginnings. And after that, fifth grade is when an uncle of mine gifted me a harmonica.
Oh,
And it took me about a week to figure out how to play my first song in that. That
right.
was 1977, I guess. And I think Sholay had been released. And
Oh,
so, that was the music that was being played on all the radios at that time. And I wouldn't say all the channels because we had very few radio channels. And the Ye Dostati song, that was the first one which I learned to play.
right.
2 years later, a cousin of mine had started to learn to play the guitar. So I had access to a guitar on my trip to my hometown, came back, got myself a guitar, taught myself how to play that. And
Mhm.
that's kind of how the journey began, man. Got hooked into music, not so much into Western at that time, only what came on the
Right,
radio. So
right. So, from 1977, that's a long time back, by the way.
it seems like a long time back, but to me, it's like yesterday.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, the
Right.
previous
And
century. If you look at it as the previous century and all that, then yeah, it seems like a long time.
correct.
You can guess how old I am then.
Right, right. And how did guitar happen?
So I would say, like I said, 2 years later, when I saw this cousin of mine, he's elder to me by about 15 years, and I got interested in that. When I came back to Bangalore, my parents got me one guitar. At that time, the cost of a decent guitar was the cost of one pack of strings. Now it's about
Oh,
$250. You got a decent guitar at that time. So I started then. Though a lot of influence at that time was the Indian music, a lot of melody, right? So Indian music, that's what I like. If you can sing the tune, then you can play it on an instrument.
yes,
And then later in college, I must thank a good class buddy of mine, close friend of mine. He recorded a few songs by Dire Straits, and it takes time for Dire Straits to sink in. For me, it took about a week before I started
yes,
connecting with their music, and till date I'm hooked. So that's when I realized so much more can be done with a guitar.
right.
You must remember that this was the era when we never had internet, we never had anything like YouTube and stuff. I don't think in my house we had a VCR also at that time, though this friend of mine had. I had to check with him, is this guy really playing the guitar? It sounds like the guitar. And he said, absolutely, Ravi, I have a videotape, some live in Sweden or something like that. I'll show it to you. And I was hooked. So that's when I realized so much more can be done, and started working on my guitar skills. I must also say that another big influence was the people in my college. I studied in Christ, and the music scene there was pretty awesome. There was Arun Andrews, who's now settled in Auckland. He was one of the lead
Oh,
guitarists. We had
oh,
Roberto Narayan, who turned out to be amongst the top drummers in India. Roberto was my peer in college, and the live band scene was terrific. Though I didn't want to commit myself to music full time.
right.
I remember all my class buddies, they decided to participate in all the events, I think when we were in second year or third year, saying that, the college life is going to end. Not sure what fate has in store for each of us. We're going to go our different ways. We should make
Mhm.
the best of our college life. And that was when, without my knowledge, while strumming the guitar, I had created a tune which used to keep coming back to me.
Okay,
So I decided to give my name for solo, as a solo performer, and I played this tune in college for the first time. At that time, it didn't have a name, but it turned out to be the title track in the first album that came out in 2013. The song was now called Windswept. So what used to be
Right.
primarily an acoustic piece, of course, in the studio version, I added some solos and stuff, and yeah, that was it took. The funny thing is, this song probably came about in 1983, 84, and I never imagined that my son would be part of the project when finally it
Oh,
would come out in the recorded avatar.
right.
So
Cool. That's a pretty cool old school story, by the way.
yeah, very much.
Right there.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and have a guitar jam, and we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, I've been rusty, man. Once you informed me, I took out the guitar. I've not been playing for the last 3-4 months, other than for
Okay.
teaching purposes. So let's see
All
what
right.
comes out. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Is my guitar audible?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So I'm using a Vault guitar, a Vault Strat model.
Okay.
I have an acoustic, but I was not confident enough that it would sound really great on live. So I'm going to keep it clean channel, and let's go.
Go ahead.
All right.
I've been sticking to acoustic for a long time now. I use the electric, but yeah, go ahead. Go for it. Let's see what happens.
All right, cool.
So good evening to everybody else who's on the show. Yeah, thank you, Jayesh.
Wow, that was beautiful.
Thanks to you, man. I'm, the mind is thinking a little bit in, in musical terms after a very long time. So since March, it's been a challenging time for everybody, right?
Right, right.
For me, yeah, and I think typical Indians, we kind of do the jugards, we do manage, we figure out some things. So I've been busy doing all that. And though the guitar comes into the hands most evenings when I'm doing my teaching,
Yes.
and when you're teaching, you're not, we do have those conversations. It depends on the students, right? So
Right.
with some, we go on those exploratory trips and then some life stuff happens.
Nice.
So thanks to you.
Right.
Thanks to the invite, man. Thanks to
You're welcome. You had to be. I mean, I know you since 2010, and to all the viewers, I would like to tell this, share this story actually. So there was one time when I was in college back in 2010, and I wanted strings, and the closest place was Music Gear that belonged to you. And there was this time when I went there and I checked out that there's one beautiful house, and there's all these musical instruments kept there. It's a store, and I figured out that, well, this is the closest store that I have close to my house, and this is where I'm going to come regularly now. And this is that was the time when I met Ravisa, and I remember one. Yes, go ahead, please.
I remember that it was a morning that you came in.
Yes.
And you just came in and looked around and asked for this pack of strings. And some intuitive something happened, and I remember taking out an acoustic guitar and giving it to you and asking, like, what is your style of playing and stuff.
Yes.
And you did some magic with the Andy Mackey style stuff. That was brilliant. And I was
Andy Mackey drifting.
Yes, drifting. That was the one, and that was brilliant. And I don't know whether I recorded. I'm not sure even whether I had my cell phone with me that morning and all that. But I will not forget
that was a brilliant moment, because when you said, I think you recorded that, and because I remember that because you had recorded that. You said, can you play that again so that I can record and show it to my son?
Yes, now I remember. Yeah,
I still remember that. Yeah, that was beautiful. It was unexpected, totally unexpected.
Which I did. Came back home, and very often in my classes I have mentioned about you. I'm not saying because we are speaking now, but that's the honest stuff. So that way, I would say that Music Gear has been an incredible journey too, because of which I met so many absolutely fabulous friends.
Yes.
Music brought us together, but I think we had more conversations, very, very fruitful. So you again been one of my inspirations. Of course, I still cannot play the kind of stuff that you do. It's always nice to have something to learn, So
yes. And back in 2009 and 10, I had been to Kolkata. There was one friend of mine. It was my vacation, and I visited Kolkata, and there was this guy called Simon. He was actually learning how to play drifting, and I reached there and I was staying with him. He was like, "Do you want to learn?" I'm like, "Yes, of course." Then he taught me how the whole thing goes, and within a week or two, I kind of got the whole idea of how to do this. And in the beginning, it looks very tough, but when you try it out, I mean, it's kind of, once you achieve it, how it feels. Yeah.
So around about the same time, so I hadn't been much exposed to that kind of guitar playing, right? So it was around about 2010, the same year, sometime in December. There was a one-day event at another fabulous Bangalore's one of oldest and most talented guitar players, Konarak Reddy, who again I had seen him perform live we used to have this thing called Spring Festival in Christ, and I had seen him play. And in his farm, they had organized a guitar workshop, and met three amazing guitar players. One from Hungary, I'm forgetting his name, apart from Konarak Reddy, of course. It was Don Ross and Masa Sumidi.
Yes.
So we had about 40-45 of us guitar players from Bangalore. I'm saying guitar players because all of us shared the a passion for playing the guitar. Each one was in a
Yes.
different level. Amazing. I got to see firsthand people like Don Ross and Masa Sumide, the way they play. Fabulous, man. So, and that was
I
also the first time that I think met another top guitar player from Bangalore and India, arguably, Bruce Lee Money. He too is from
yes.
Christ. Yeah, I got to say hello to him at that time. And of course, and they got more meetings after that.
Right.
Amazing. So you
I
don't play that style anymore now, Eddie?
I
The
do.
more
I
electric?
do. Yes, I do. I tried to develop that style into the electric guitar as well. I
Mm-hmm.
tried a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, then after that, I had done a couple of compositions as well. Some of them are called Diamond of the Ocean. One is called
Okay.
Cobra.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept on going with that.
Okay.
Then I made a song called Blue Wine back in
Mm-hmm.
2011. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so all those
Mm-hmm.
things. And I remember
Yeah.
you talking about Don Ross back in the days, the first day when
Yes.
we met. Yes.
So that was then,
Okay.
we met after that event, I suppose.
Yes. Of
Oh,
course.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have another question for you. So
Sure.
tell us about your projects like Instrumental Conversation, Altered, Medad Media Studio, Music Gear, Raga School of
Okay.
Music. How do you
Okay.
manage all this?
Okay. So um, let me put it into perspective. Um,
Right.
I have had many interests since a long time, and this is a story I've shared, with many before. Um, but I also realized that it's impossible to focus and create any positive outcomes if we were to put our fingers into too many areas, right, at the same time. So I decided to experiment with an approach where I would say I'll dedicate X number of years to this particular area of interest, try and learn, improve, then start delivering some outcomes, and then get it to some stage before I go to the next one. And it doesn't mean that I will entirely stop what I started. I will keep it going. So that's how I ended up, dedicating 10 years for music and that period started from 2008. That's when I quit my corporate career. And 2008. Now the goal was to produce original instrumental music. I had already been creating some tunes. I still wasn't prepared to call myself a composer. I'm not so sure whether
Hmm.
even now I can call myself that, though there are over 100 tunes now that have been recorded.
Right.
So, but I wanted to self-produce these. The idea was, I figured that creating a tune, the outcome is not decided based on what you've composed. The outcome is also influenced during the recording and the mixing stages. So,
Hmm.
during mix, we can get a different sound. We can get a different feel for the song altogether. So I felt that I need to become self-sufficient, have my own studio, learn production, and do that. So that required time. I was not
Right.
ready to start off. So 2008, the first thing my wife and I did was to start Raga School of Music. So the idea was, if I
Um,
teach, that is a good way for me to be in touch every day, whether I like it or not. I am spending 2 hours with the guitar. It also gives me time to prepare and understand how to build a studio and such, gain some confidence too. Also, it's
right.
important that when I quit corporate, it's not like I was sitting with a pile of cash and I could simply, experiment. I had to create an, sustenance income to make sure I could pay the bills. So Raga School helped achieve all those objectives as well. And
Right.
then Music Gear happened, 2009. As a teacher, every teacher, I'm sure you also teach, many students expect you to go and select the instruments for them. They have confidence in the teacher, right? So I
Yes.
was spending a lot of time trying to pick instruments and decided, let me open a small store. I'll keep limited stocks, just cater to those students who are depending on me to pick instruments. So that way, otherwise they're free to buy from anywhere else. Music Gear
Right.
began like that. And 2012 is when I moved to a commercial space, designed and built out studios. I stood one studio at that time, and it wasn't called Meerad at that time. But then 2013 came up with, let me see, album number 1, which was Windswept.
Wow.
And that's the title track. Remember in '83, I told you about a song with no name, which was played live. That was
Uh-huh.
Windswept, the title track. So this came
Great,
out
sir.
in 2013. And that
Okay.
has songs, I would say, which were created over a period of 25 years at different points in time. It has 2 tributes as well. One to my mother and one to a very dear friend of mine called Bobs.
Okay.
And so you see the pattern now. The school was an enabler, a placeholder. The store had to happen to help, and then the studio. One thing I was clear is, I knew from day one that whatever we are passionate about, and the outcomes that come out of those creative endeavors, there is no
Yes.
guarantee that even if a lot of people like what you're creating, they are likely to pull out their wallet to pay for it. So
Well said, sir.
one, we need to be figuring out how to monetize our creativity. And in some cases, what we monetize is not what we set out to create. It's a byproduct, correct?
Yes.
But so I wanted to make sure that, my creative focus was not going to be altered or diluted to make sure that I can monetize and create income from that. Good or bad, I'm not saying my tunes are, someplace, but that was the idea. I needed that creative freedom. So the school, the
Cool.
store, all these other ventures, including many, many productions that we kept doing for others, that helped to ensure that the creative freedom was not compromised till date. So
Right.
even when
Right.
my son is also, interested in doing such things, both of us are very clear. Music was a passion, will continue to be a passion, but will not be altered for the sake of commercial revenue. Because look at it, the only way you can make decent revenue out of that is by playing live in venues which are willing to pay for it.
Yes.
A lot of times, and I have met professional musicians. I don't call myself a professional musician, and I've asked them, it's like, hey, that was pretty nice what I heard. And he said, yeah, but I had to play it because the organizers or the event guys wanted me to play that. If given a choice, I would have played something else.
Right.
This is in between a break. In between a break, that's what I hear, right? So my hunch about how I might have had to compromise and do stuff which I may not have enjoyed, right? So, and it's unfortunate, like even before the pandemic, we had the situation where live gigs, have run into trouble in a place like Bangalore.
Yes.
So, we need to be a little bit creative when it comes to monetizing these aspects.
Right.
So I kind of mixed up 2-3 topics in answer to your question, but I hope you
But-
see how the transitions have been. So,
Yes.
like I said, 10 years is what I dedicated for full time into music, and I thought that should be kind of enough for me to learn production to some level, create some outcomes, and yeah. So 2017 is when my son and I released our last album, which is 10. This
10.
is the fifth album. The 6th album, by the way, has been waiting since 2017 because we've not had time to focus on that. Most of these songs are done. We need to revisit them, clean them up, maybe, or modify the arrangement a bit. We had hoped last September it would come out. Couldn't. We had other studio projects. And then once the first lockdown happened, I felt elated that now that I don't have to do anything else, we shifted one of the studios home and we thought we could finish work on that. But then in 2 weeks' time, all my classes went online, and I took a decision to actually exit my retail business. So music gear, the retail business, I have taken the decision at this point in time to exit that. The reason is everything else that we do is online and I cannot be in 2 places. And so it's not possible for me to, and I'm not the types who would appoint a manager, one set of people to run the show, and you're just an investor and you stay in the background and allow. I like the customer connect. I mean, I would not have met people like you if I had
Right.
a team there doing their stuff, and I would have not. I would have only been looking at what sales happened. Are we making a profit? That's not my cup of tea. That's not where I want to.
Right. You like to stay where it just connects, right?
Yeah, it's required. So it's like, if I'm there, it will happen. If I'm not there, I don't want it to happen. So
Right.
that story is fading. That story is fading. But there's a new
Awesome.
Altered, like you mentioned. Altered is the new story
Altered.
that's taking shape.
Yes. So, according to you, could you name us some 3 albums that people should really, really listen to, according to you?
Any you mean, or instrumental
Yeah,
compositions?
any out of
Any?
your thing.
Yeah. I think more than albums, I would probably mention bands.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So first off, I would say my favorite, Dire Straits, Mark Knopfler.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah, just that melodic feel, and I always get the feeling that the music gets the prominence and not so much on showcasing the skill in play.
Yes.
So
Right.
I've realized that a lot of times I've come across artists where, for the sake of showcasing their skill, they try to create
Yes.
music so that it can be showcased.
Yes.
And the purpose is defeated. So if I'm a
Right.
bassist, then most of the music is bass heavy. If I am a lead guitar player and founder of a band, then most of my music is filled with that. I'm not saying it is bad. I'm just saying that sometimes some songs may not, supposing I like playing the guitar, right? If that song
Yes.
does not require guitar as an instrument in it, I think it should not have it.
Right.
It should not have
Very
it,
well
right?
said, sir.
So something like that.
Yes.
So that's
Right.
something I like in Dire Straits. That's one. I like the sound of Deep Purple.
Deep Purple.
Deep Purple, yeah. And people like Steve Morse, even now, these guys are in their prime.
Right.
You can make out that not only are they talented, they put in a lot of effort into their playing. And I like the way he constructs his solos, the kind of control.
Yes.
It's phenomenal. So Deep Purple, Dire Straits, and there's a lot. I like Scorpions too.
Yeah,
As a
Scorpions.
band,
Yes.
Scorpions too. Yeah, there are many. You asked me for 3. I pulled out the 3, but I have many more, which I
Yeah,
like
of
listening
course.
to. But these 3, yeah, many more. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, Scorpions. I love that song called "Rhythm of Love" as well from that
Yeah.
from the band Scorpions. Yeah, beautiful song.
Though
Okay.
I must confess that I've not been much of a covers player. So whenever
Huh.
there was some time, I've been more into fiddling around. But I will say they influenced the musicality part. So I really, my son is much better than me at covering all these guys, including Mark Knopfler and
Oh, great.
yeah. So he teaches electric. So I've been teaching primarily, the acoustic. I have my own
Yes.
curriculum and stuff. But since the last couple of years, he's got around to teaching, but he does one-on-one classes.
Oh.
And so I keep, sometimes my ear to the door when he's doing his teaching, to the point where I think I'm going to sign up for some classes with him pretty soon.
Great. Yeah. Back in the days, I think he was very little guy,
He was,
and
yes.
Now, yeah, of course, like you're saying it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool,
Seriously,
actually.
not saying like, he's the best in the world or something, but the point is this: if I come across somebody who's from whom I can learn, I mean, I think
Yes.
age does not matter, right?
Doesn't matter. Yes.
Age doesn't matter.
Right. Cool. I've got another question for you. Tell us about your sound and gear. I see that you have a specific love for acoustics, and I see your videos are there's a lot of natural beauties. I mean, there's ambience, and tell us about that, please.
So, okay, I'll not just myself, my entire family. We love nature. We love anything which is natural, and
Yes.
is I got less of a synthetic influence. So when it comes to food, simple food, as much as we can grow in our little balcony garden that gets grown by my wife, my father, so we get to enjoy that. And every time we do a small trip anywhere,
Yes.
we end up picking a place which has that connect with nature. We are not so much into picking places which have a lot of monuments and that kind of
Oh,
location.
yes.
So simple getaways. Even our trip to Goa, the only time as a family we've been to Goa, we picked a homestay which was, I think, about 10 kilometers away from the beach.
Okay.
It is in a village kind of place, and a lot of greenery. It's out of away from the typical busy areas. And then, yeah,
Right.
on a couple of days, we did drive up to the beach and we came back. But that's the kind of place that we like. So even when it comes to music, I mean, if I may call myself as a sound engineer, I would say I try my best to not engineer the sound, to try and keep it as close to the real thing. So acoustics, they do play a role, 100%. So even when
Yes.
I was understanding how to build out my studio, the final stages, I was only like, going and clapping and singing to get a feel for, do I like the sound? I wasn't using meters to check, So I told them, stop putting those acoustic panels, up to a particular level. I don't want an absolutely dead room kind of a thing. So it's been more
Right.
of a, gut feel, intuitive approach.
Yes.
Good or bad, you reach a point where you feel you're okay. And
Yes.
I must say that most people who have come and recorded in that environment have enjoyed the experience. Even my
Yes.
store, I don't know if you came to the setup that has been there until recently. It doesn't look like a store. It's more like a semi-home. Many people have asked me, do you stay here? Because there's a small pantry. It's very informal.
Yes.
Anyway, it's a matter of time. So yeah, we do like that. So there's one album, in fact, that was inspired by that's what I refer to as slow life, and that was
Yes.
it's called Smell the Roses. This was album number 4.
Wow.
Album. It's just more acoustic. It's more acoustic,
Okay.
very simple tracks. And when I say slow life, it's about slowing down so that you can enjoy the ride,
Yes.
so to speak. I mean, we live in Bangalore. I know that you also were in an IT profession, so you know everybody what they call as a rat race. I wonder
Right.
if we know we are in a rat race, are we putting any effort to get out of it? Okay, I do see in recent years, people taking up cycling and other hobbies to connect with nature, which is a great thing.
Yes.
But I always wondered, why is it that we need to celebrate on a weekend?
Yes.
Every day we should be setting the pace so that we enjoy each day. That's what this album is about. Smell the Roses. You should check it out sometime. It's
Sure.
there
Sure.
on,
I'll do that.
yeah. Should be there on Spotify and wherever.
Okay. Great. All right. So could you just play us a couple of things from your albums or any of your compositions, anything like that?
I'll play a little bit of this song called Roll Down the Window from Smell the Roses. That
Great.
turned out to be the first track that I created for that album, though it was, I think, track number 3. So
Okay.
so every track, because it's instrumental, there's no lyrics to convey a message. Usually, most of the tracks, I kind of visualize a story or something visual to drive me through the composing thing. Because I feel otherwise I will not know logically how to take it through and close it. So roll down the window. Imagine you are in a vehicle and you have a destination to reach. There's no time to stop anywhere on the way. So you're just driving, heading to your destination. It's sort of like how people in their careers, they set some goal and they're going. And they'll say, yeah, I'll do that later. My point is, even if you are in such a journey, when you're passing through a beautiful place, the least you could do is roll down the window so that you can take
Right.
the smell in and get a feel for the place. Drive through, but at least roll down the window. So that's the
Beautiful, sir.
message in that. So yeah, it goes like that. It goes
Beautiful.
on like that. The thing is, very simple
Beautiful.
stuff. Yeah, there's another one called Float, which I won't play the full
Yes,
thing, but
please.
I like the way. It goes
Wow.
like that, and there's a solo that comes on top of that, but
Right.
it's completely acoustic. Yeah.
Beautiful. That back drag you did. I mean, it goes
Uh-huh.
from somewhere to somewhere. Very melodious. Beautiful. Yeah.
So usually what happens is the first line, as you know, since you also write songs, first line comes through inspiration.
Yes.
And funny thing is, for I think about 18, 19 years of my guitar playing, I never knew an iota of theory, even names of chords, nothing, right? You just go and bindas, you do things like, that sounds nice. Yeah, let's have that. Yeah,
Right.
anything or. So you explore. It's been like that. So, but of late, yeah, even if the first part comes through inspiration, then now a little bit of other knowledge helps you at least understand the possibilities.
Right. Yeah. You have a very clear mindset about how this composition goes and the vision behind that composition and the whole. Yeah, holding the subject with the particular music that is attached. That's beautiful, sir.
Thank you. I've been very time driven. I like to
Right.
set myself. So, especially one of the first things I told myself when I quit a corporate role to take up my own independent journey was, a lot of us think that when there's no boss, it's a fantastic state to be in, right? But we have to realize that we are our own boss now, right? Of course,
Yes.
customers and everybody else. So if we don't set some aggressive timelines for ourselves, it's very easy to, see the days slipping by. And then you never meet your objectives in time. You cannot move on to the next assignment. So usually if I start work on a project, I put a deadline saying that this day this album is going out, no matter what, right? So then work backward and try to finish. The other thing is even maybe the initial songs, they just came by chance. But now I try to tell myself, you know, let it be not something very random.
Right.
We did have, in fact, 10, the last album, 10. This has no storyline, by the way, nothing. The only reason it's called 10 is to commemorate the 10th year of me being, in music full time. So if you see, each song was just created as random pieces of inspiration by my son and myself. They were called song number 1, song number 2, song number 3, and all that. Okay, till 10. 10 songs were there. And then we decided to name them as 1, 2, 3. But we looked at where most of our listeners were across the world on, say, the Spotify charts. So each one is named based on the language spoken in that country. So Ekam is number 1, which is in Sanskrit. And then we have, I don't know if I'm pronouncing correct in French, it is just the, and then try, quattro, go. They turned out to be, so go is 5 in Japanese. So this album has no story. To your point, sometimes you have to let yourself.
Yes, definitely. I get that.
No script.
Right. No script. Yeah.
Like this chat that we're having. I hope people are still watching. Yeah, there are about 15 people watching. Not bad. So
yes.
Thanks for watching, guys. That too.
Yeah. Thanks to all of you guys.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you some time to just roll over and check the chats because this will not be in the IGTV. And I'm going to ask you one last question in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So so if you could just tell us about when you started playing guitar since the 70s, 80s, 90s, and so on, and how has the music scene changed, and personally to you, and what is your point of view as in general, looking at today's era and from back in the days?
Yeah. So lots of changes. So back in the days, the scope or the opportunities for people who were not into classical music, in terms of even recognition, in terms of, if you take a country like India, right, some respectability, it wasn't as much as it is today.
Yes.
So if you were into rock, or if you were into contemporary music and stuff, you really were sticking your neck out big time, and it just went on to show how passionate you were. It was like that. If you see, in the over time, the scene has changed, where classical musicians are willing to collaborate, and even people who are into contemporary music, into Western music, into jazz, they are also very much keen to collaborate with the classical musicians, which was always there. I think which is always there, right? And people are willing to experiment today. I think in the good old days, even in the classical world, I'm not going to name names, but there were some world-class musicians who, if they tried to experiment, there was a world which would immediately treat them like outcasts, saying that they're going out of the boundaries defined,
right,
so on and so forth. But today, I think those boundaries are all shattered. So we get to see so much of creativity happening. And there are some phenomenal artists today who do extremely well when they are delivering a classical piece, and they do extremely well when they are doing a semi-classical or a contemporary piece as well. That said, what definitely has changed the music scene, I will say to some extent for the good, but to a large extent for the not so good, which is
Right.
stuff like video, the
Yes.
influence of video, right? I'm seeing, if I take bands like Deep Purple or Scorpions, or, I know a lot of people who love Iron Maiden, or we heard their music connected with whatever came from that little radio speaker, not even hi-fi systems, okay?
Yes. Yes.
Listen to Hotel California, you're stuck. You're stuck. My mom used to love Hotel California. My grandmom used to like some of the music by Boney M and ABBA.
Yes.
Living in, the thing is, video brought about change where people, instead of listening to music, they started watching. And I'm
Point.
seeing that a lot of people decide whether music is good or bad based on how good the video is.
How good the video.
I personally, in fact, early on, I heard your introduction. You said Instrumental Conversations, a beautiful channel on YouTube. I do appreciate that. Ours is not as beautiful as it can be, because both my son and I, we try our best not to get into the video scene.
Right.
I've not spent 1 rupee in creating any of the videos. Many videos are shot on phone and, put together. But we don't go out of the way to create that. I feel somehow because of that, there have been many musicians who are not all that great, but they're made to look greater than they are because of the strong visuals.
Yes. Because of the
And
video.
as
Yeah.
a result, some fabulous musicians who probably don't have such a big team or that much of money to drive and create those fancy videos, they don't get their due. So I wish
Right.
music is more heard and people are taking decisions based on what they're hearing,
Right.
rather than what they're seeing and judging based on that. I mean,
Correct.
this is my personal opinion. I love
Yes. That
good
is.
videos. I'm not saying that. I mean, imagine if you're a good musician and you make a great video, that's a fabulous combination.
Yeah.
Right? That's a fabulous combination. I'm not against video. I'm just saying that way the change has been there. Right?
Yes.
The other thing is, of course, hype. You can have a fabulous artist. Now, we've been talking about music. I think this is true for any
Yes.
form of art, right? There is this herd mentality. Unless and until the recognition comes from somewhere else, they still don't even listen to your music even once, even if it is available for free somewhere. Not that they don't have time. I don't know what. At least once. And I think that's true for any artist, right? But imagine if some well-known person has heard the music and put a comment or something like that, then people make a beehive. They kind of...
Yes.
I think everybody should also learn to be their own, judges, to be their own judge, rather.
Right.
And give everybody their due. Their due. That's important. So while say that, to summarize, lots of opportunities, lots of positive change, lots of experimentation today. But there are many people also. And in the midst of all of this crowd, you need to stand out to be heard.
Yes.
We have a problem of plenty.
Great stuff. Very, very well said about most of the things. I'm not going to ask you if you have any message for the beginners, because this whole conversation had so many things in between. People can just look at this and, pull off those things, And we're almost at the end of this.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Yeah, even I didn't realize. I just saw the time and we are like just another 3 more minutes left. Yeah. So anyways, it was so nice having you. So it's such an honor to have you on this show. And it was beautiful having a conversation like this after so much of shredding and after so much of this and that and all the rock talks and everything. We had a time to go back to the time when, most of us were not even born. And you started playing guitar back in the days. Yeah. So this was very important and such a beautiful story, by the way. And this is very inspiring in a way. It has inspired me
Thanks,
tonight in a way, of
you're being
course.
very kind.
And
Thanks to
right,
you and to the bunch of people who signed in today to watch. I know it's pretty late for everyone. It's a Friday, of course, and I think a lot of people being online, they don't have a proper weekend too. Uh, so I know a bunch of my friends who are busy on Saturdays and sometimes Sundays too. No, so yeah,
right,
thanks for
great.
this, and I wish you the very best in your journey, man. You've also taken the plunge full time into music,
Thank
and
you so much.
I definitely want to see you producing a lot more music. And
Sure,
anytime you feel, Rahul, my son and I can be of any little assistance in your productions or anything, let us know. We
definitely.
would love to, yeah, anything at all,
Awesome.
anything at all.
Perfect. That sounds great. Yes.
And yeah, what else? Stay safe to everybody out there. Enjoy your
Yes.
music. You asked something about beginners. I will say, keep working away at it. Do everything to protect your passion. That's what I
Right.
tell my students. I have some students who say, I want to be full-time musician. I say, yes, be it. But make sure that you figured out, I'll say, make sure that you have a pretty solid business plan. If you decide
Right.
that your entire livelihood is going to be from that, make sure you have a solid, treat it like a business, right?
Right.
Don't expect, and don't cry if people are not pulling out the wallet for it. They may love your music. The reason is, that's probably the last of the things they want to buy. And
Right.
don't blame the world if they spend the money on buying a 1,000 rupee pizza, but they don't want to buy your 200 rupee CD, don't blame them. Don't ask them the questions. I mean, we should ask ourselves, right? How many of us have actually gone and bought music, right?
Right. Right.
We get to go to YouTube or go somewhere else. So then when we make our own music, we shouldn't be crying.
Right. Great. This is beautiful. All right, sir. Thank you. Thank you to you, and thank you to all the viewers who
Thank you.
joined. This was beautiful. We had a great session, and I'll let you know who is the next guest. Till then, stay safe, sir. Good night to you and to everyone out there.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.